And hello and welcome everyone to the Comic Multiverse, where the worlds of nerd meet. I feel like the last couple weeks, Matt, I've had fun, interesting little openings to these, and just the well has run dry. I got nothing.
You got nothing?
I got nothing. Although as I look at myself on screen, there is my beard slightly off? Is it quite not quite
It
symmetrical anymore?
it doesn't look symmetrical to me, at least.
Well, shit. Well, show's canceled, everyone. I got to go fix this. This is the worst part about seeing yourself on camera as much as we do for work. It's just every little imperfection
Yeah.
in yourself. It just gets amplified 100 times, and you're like, God damn it. I think more than anything, that's what made me want to try and lose some weight and try and, start to get healthy. Because, when you've been recording videos of yourself for as long as we have, you're either going to see yourself shrink or expand. So which one do you want?
Yeah, yeah.
If we're at this longer, I'm going to start seeing myself turn gray too. That'll be fun. I'm not ready for that.
I'm already turning grey, so I've already seen it.
Oh, no, no, it's okay, Matt. We'll be distinguished like Liam Neeson. And on that note, everyone, yes, this is indeed a comic book podcast. I promise. Although sometimes it doesn't feel like it.
No, sometimes it doesn't.
No, we were talking about Mountain Dew Amped before this
Yes, and how people that drink it somehow are still alive.
because that's where Matt and I are at conversationally. Hey, man, you hear about that Mountain Dew Amp?
It killed a guy.
It killed a guy, or Energize, as Matt is telling me it's called in Australia.
Yeah, yeah. I don't drink it because it just tastes horrible.
I do
I can
love the
feel
different.
the insides, my insides like slow. It's like it's basically, and it's well, it's the same color as the xenomorph blood. I can feel my insides like slowly
Yes,
dissolving.
it sure is. But man, if I ever needed to stay up for 48 hours, except no substitute. But yes, believe it or not, everyone, this is a comic book podcast, and we do have a smattering of comic book news this week. It was a light news week, and it was a light book week, all things considered, which I can't complain because I might actually get to the bottom of my review pile in the next couple days.
Yeah, it was a fifth week in a month, which doesn't happen often. So we get like fewer comics, which means we can spend that time catching up. And I did that, just that.
And thank God for that, really. In fact, I'm even working on a written piece for Doom Patrol now that that show's all finally done. I want to
Mm,
try and have that up in the next little bit because Doom Patrol was great. It ended super
it
satisfyingly.
was really awesome.
More superhero shows need more Cypress Hill, is all I'm gonna say.
More superhero shows need rats and cockroaches making out.
Yep, love that. I'm like, wow, the show went here. You didn't think we could top everyone having an orgasm from last week? Well, you're wrong. Seriously, if I was to give my elevator review for Doom Patrol, it's like, look, how many other shows has Timothy Dalton having sex with a cave woman, a living street orgasming, and a rat and cockroach making out? The answer is only this one. Every other show needs to up its game. Your move, everyone else.
Your move.
And Swamp Thing comes out at like the end of the month, doesn't it?
Yeah, in a couple of days, or probably when we're reviewing this the next day, I think maybe. Day after.
Yeah, it'll probably be out by then. Yeah, yeah, because it's going to Thursday, which I guess is pretty smart. Where it's like, hey, Doom Patrol just ended, but don't worry, please don't unsign up for the DC Universe app. We promise we have another show.
They stagger them correctly, but at the same time, it's only ever one thing out at a time, which is I wouldn't pay for that.
That's the real thing to chap your nuts, isn't it? It's the like, hey, here's a great show. Cool, can I watch it all in one sitting, as is the format for all television now, post Netflix? No, we want you to pay and watch it episodically. Hmm. Is the show done though? Or are you just sitting on it and this is just how you're choosing to stagger it out? We'll never tell.
It feels like that. It feels like that. Well, with the Swamp Thing, they cut the episodes down, didn't they?
They did, they did. They were supposed to have more, which means they actually rushed it out.
Yeah.
Which that's unfortunate. I mean, look, Doom Patrol is great, and you could tell money was spent on that show.
Oh yeah, good money, in good places.
Definitely. And Swamp Thing, from what we've seen of it, looks like they spent some money on that
It
show.
looks amazing. The only thing that has me worried is the guy playing Alec Holland is like straighter than a board. like the guy playing Anakin Skywalker in the prequels sounds like a better actor than him. He's so like bored straight. It's pretty shocking.
Don't worry, if the Swamp Thing comics are anything to go by, you'll only have to deal with Alec Holland for maybe the first episode before he catches fire, jumps into the swamp, and then is never seen or heard from again.
And then is what? Who's the guy playing the guy in the suit? Is it Kane Hodder or
Derek Mears? But
Mears?
yes, you were in the right neighborhood. Which, man, good for Derek Mears. I'm happy to see that dude get work. He is super underrated as a performer. I forget he was Jason in most of the Jason movies.
Yeah, from I want to say like number 4 or something.
Yeah, onward. Does not get enough credit for his physical acting, and is just a literal giant.
Yeah.
Legitimate 8 foot tall. I still think my favorite bit from Flash last season was him and Sugar Lynn Beard, who is an actress who's like 4 foot nothing, and he's like 8 foot tall, and just a gag of them just walking next to each other and how hilariously mismatched they look.
Yeah.
That's a good bit. But yeah, we're not here to talk about any of that, actually. The first big news stories we have to talk about. This was huge for 24 hours, and there was many think pieces and many videos actually from people I really like and respect talking about this one to jump on it, only to discover it wasn't nearly as big a story as we thought it was. And that is Tom King, after much rumor and much, broken telephone talk, it was announced there that, could he possibly be leaving Batman early? Could he be leaving it a year early as of issue 85? And the answer turned out to be yes, he is. He is leaving 15 issues short of his much proposed 100 issues, maybe 105 issues, because they were talking about maybe even giving him 5 more to make up for the 5 he didn't write.
I have a feeling this story was meant to be broke at because they announced that the Batman Catwoman book he's going to be writing instead, like
the next day,
like way in advance, like 8 months in advance, and that never happens. So my guess is that was actually meant to happen at like San Diego Comic-Con or New York Comic-Con or something. So yeah, that was a bit of damage control there to announce that.
It was a very weird rollout of events, and I know it got many people talking. Obviously, our friend and frequent collaborator Sal from the channel Comic Pop, he had a whole video talking about this, and also talking about in like the greater scheme of things, where it's like, what does the comic industry owe you? You as a creator might say you're going to write 100 issues, but if you can't keep up an audience for 100 issues, and if the company that gives you the right to write about these characters isn't getting the financial returns that they want, then obviously it's within their right to yank you off it. And is it not perhaps a little pretentious and a little self-indulgent in this age of comics, when so many comics don't reach 100 issues, to say, I will be the one to reach 100 issues, then only to have it yanked away from you at the last second? To then have... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, that's what I always found really kind of upsetting about, like, whenever Tom King spoke, because he always said, I'm going to write 100 issues. I'm going to be the Batman writer who wrote 100 issues. And it's like, maybe don't, count your chickens before they've hatched. You never know in the comic industry what's going to happen.
It's a little presumptuous, especially, again, when you look at DC. No one else got to write 100 issues. The only guy who's even close right now is Joshua Williamson on Flash, and they could take that away from him any day if they felt so interested. I think the only reason that they've let him go so long is that, he's keeping Flash fans happy enough, and Flash isn't a tentpole like Batman is. They're not looking for Batman to pay the bills.
Yeah. And that's like another thing, like people kept like citing that, like, oh, Batman's always selling well. It's like, well, that's not the noteworthy thing. The noteworthy thing in that was that Hulk outsold it at one point. And that this is Hulk. Like, Hulk is a big character, but he's not someone who's had many solo series that garnered enough praise to outsell fucking Batman.
No, you wouldn't even call him the Marvel Trinity. Like, it's
No.
one thing if it was a Spider-Man or an X-Man or a
Yeah.
Captain America or something, but no, it was the Hulk. I used a sports metaphor, which I do not use often because I am not a sports ball person, but I said that Batman is the New York Yankees of comic book characters. He's never supposed to lose because they spend too much money on him to make sure he doesn't lose, is
Yeah.
the thing.
And he lost.
And when he loses, that's a pretty big deal. And that, hurts the pride of the company. I'm sure that was an issue for them in getting him to stop early. I'm sure, what is it? The reaction to Heroes in Crisis, the very negative
Hmm.
reaction to Heroes in Crisis, was a contributing factor to this. And also, perhaps the biggest piece of news that I felt got lost in the shuffle is that, like a couple days even before this news came out, Tom King was on social media being like, "Oh yeah, I'm pitching the last leg of my story, and it's so big and so life changing, and it's going to alter Batman forever. Oh, I had to go to the shareholders and the head of the company and the heads of AT&T because what I was going to do was going to be so huge and so amazing." And again, I wasn't in the room. I can only assume though that meeting went poorly.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, because he had to pitch this big thing that would apparently change Batman's origins or add something to it that was like a permanent, like,
Yeah.
faucet of it now. But like, yeah, I have a feeling that he pitched it to the guys at DC and they were like, cool, but you've got to, like, something like that, you've got to take it up higher. But he took it up higher, and they're like, no, no, because I think they view, like, AT&T and Warner Bros. View, like, the film and movie stuff as the primary market for
Yeah.
Batman, and you change something in his origin, then you're going to alienate some stuff from the movies and, like, people who don't read comics and only see these films and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So yeah, I could see it not going over very well.
I'm just even trying to think to myself, what could he possibly have pitched
Mm.
that could have done this if that's the case, where it's like, I'm gonna have Batman burn the American flag. What?
I had, like, all these. I was talking with people and we were, like, saying, like, oh, could it be like, I don't think him marrying would have been such a big thing. Like, that's not really like a big thing for a character to marry. They can easily be unmarried in a later story.
Unless you already played that card.
I could see something like his parents coming back. We've already got one of them come back.
Mm,
Take that faucet that made him Batman and
right,
kind
right.
of remove it.
Which arguably Spider-Man did it first, but they turned out to be robots. But whatever. Again, like my mind just goes wild, where it's like, what could he possibly have pitched? Batman, agent of ISIS. What?
Yeah, what? Frank Miller's writing? What?
What? Frank pitched that already once, and we said no. Or something like, so after his wedding falls apart, Batman decides he likes dudes now. What about that? No, Tom, no.
Yeah,
Someone stop him.
it could range from all sorts of things. He could have killed a Robin or something. He could done all sorts of stuff.
Like, again, because you figure all these companies, they basically go ahead with anything anyway. So I would have loved to have been
Yeah.
a fly on the wall to hear what that pitch was. And at the end of the day, maybe it didn't matter, because it seems to be they're like, look, we want to course correct Batman. In fact, when you listen to the press release they did, Bob Harris, who, Bob Harris, they only ever really come out for important money man matters like this anyway. He basically said, look, the book wasn't making the money we wanted it to. It's important that this book make the money that it has to, because it pays for other stuff. So yeah, we're going to get another writer in here, but also we don't want to offend the King writer or the King fans, and also probably King himself. We want to keep him sweet. So it was also announced, hey, he's going to be writing a Batman Catwoman 12-issue maxi series, which I'm going to assume is just going to be the end of his series and how it was going to end anyway.
Yeah, he had to come out and say that, like, it's going to be canon until it isn't. And I'm like, oh, until the next writer picks up. Um, or, like, the next writer after that writer. People just forget about it.
There was also a thing that King himself said when he was talking about the Batman Catwoman series. He's like, I want it to be all these things. I want it to be romantic. I want it to, speak to the human condition. I want it to be, approachable for new readers. And I'm like, you liar! You want it to be approachable to new readers? This is the end of your 100-issue run.
You
How
need to read
dare
70
you?
plus issues to understand what's going on here. Or probably like 4 issues of that 70 plus run, but still.
Yeah, really. How dare you say you want it to be approachable for new readers? You are just lying now. But yeah, you're getting we're getting a new Batman writer sooner than expected. It'll still be about a year, give or take, but
And
sooner than
end of
expected.
this year, I believe, because we're on
End
issue
of
73 of Batman at the moment. 73,
yes,
72, 73.
right. 75 kicks off City of Bane or whatever, and then that'll
Yeah.
take us.
This is also another thing. People are on Twitter and Facebook and all that saying, "Oh, they're rushing the ending." I'm like, motherfucker, you have 75 plus issues of backstory, or not really backstory, like build up this arc. That's that's quite a lot. That's not
That's your
nothing.
story.
That's your
If
story.
if you wanted to do more, you should have done it sooner if you couldn't tell your story in 75 plus issues or 85 plus issues.
Shouldn't have done so many goddamn filler arcs like
Dream arcs.
Nightmare and all. That'd be what probably broke the camel's back, where he had like a 6 part
I think
story where nothing fucking happened.
you want to know how bad that is? The Savage Dragon from Eric Larson, I posted this picture on Twitter, was making fun of that arc. Savage Dragon was dunking on Batman.
Oh, they don't call him Savage Dragon for nothing.
Oh, he's very savage. He's sipping tea dragon now, but that's none of my Savage Dragon's business.
I'm going to be
Doing all.
interested. I'm going to be interested to find out in the wake of this news, because we've got obviously this week the Last Heroes in Crisis coming out.
Yes.
I'm wondering like how that's going to affect the sales of it.
Yeah, to where it's like, hey, this guy's kind of getting raked across the coals right now. Seeming they're trying to make it look like no, it was nothing that he did wrong. He just was writing an unprofitable book, but it's nothing he did wrong though. It's the dumb fans who didn't get it. Why didn't you buy 2 copies of this book if you wanted to see him finish it? You know who I feel bad for, and I'm sure we'll all agree on this. Whoever has to come on next, because
Oh
you're in the
God.
most, you're in an unwinnable position. You got to clean up the mess left in your wake that maybe Rush, maybe not, who knows. The King fans will probably be mad at you, the King loyalists, because they didn't get the end of their story, so they're not going to be happy. And now you have to plot a new course, and try and bring everyone together, and just that's a tall order.
It's a tougher. I would just like, if I was writing, I would just like bite the bullet and be like, okay, goddamn, none of this stuff happened in that first issue where Batman tried to stop that airliner for crashing into Gotham.
Yeah.
He got knocked out and was in a coma for like months, and in that coma he dreamt up all this stuff, only to wake
Right.
up.
Or again, they're just going to start the new issue, which again, honestly, I don't even think they should keep going. They're probably going to keep going because there was also some news in there about how the book is going from twice monthly to going back to monthly again. In fact, most of their big titles are going
Yeah.
monthly again.
Yeah.
And they say the reason for that is that they eventually want everything to get to 100 issues before, assumedly, they start over again at #1, which maybe it's a new crisis, maybe it's a new event, but the strong feeling is after 100, we're going to go back to ones again.
Just funny because we're coming to the end of Doomsday Clocks, and that was probably meant to be their next crisis, but they're like, we kind of botched that idea.
Oops, our bad. But yeah, I feel bad for the person who's got to come in here. You know who my pitch is? I'm sure we'll all have pitches and we'll talk about this. I don't think he's in an exclusivity contract. I know he's writing at least one book for DC right now. Jeff Lemire.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
You know why? Because Jeff Lemire did basically the same sort of miracle for Green Arrow, where Green Arrow had gone through in the New 52, several go-nowhere writers. The book was in absolute shambles, and they're like, all right, Jeff, what are you going to do here? What's your art? Okay, I'm going to completely reinvent Green Arrow's history, add a whole bunch of lore that's never been there, and I'm going to literally blow up everything that the last couple writers did. Like, issue 1, all right, all these new characters dead, all these old status quos destroyed. We're going back to 0.
That would be refreshing. I'd like to see that. I'd maybe like to see Peter Tomasi take over both this and Detective. Tell two
I wouldn't want
different,
to
very
overwork
very different stories. Well, he's only writing those 2 books, and like Super Sons is coming to an end in the next 2 issues. Next issue, I think.
That's true.
So, yeah.
he could do it to be like, all right, Batman is the solo Batman book, but Detective Comics is the spiritual successor to my Batman and Robin book.
It basically is.
Ha ha ha, Tomasi wins again. Yeah, that would be the obvious thing. Give it to Tomasi because Tomasi is just a teddy bear of a human being beloved by the fan community. Where it's like, look, who's a guy you can't be mad at?
Yeah, and on the other end of that, like they've pissed off so many fans already. Just keep going at that. Give it to Brian Michael Bendis.
Oh man, that's an option. They're like, so should we just give it to Bendis? I mean, we're gonna reboot in 100 issues anyway. Should we just give it to Bendis? And here's the thing: Bendis is already writing Batman comics. He's writing those Walmart Batman comics
Yeah.
that are just getting collected in trade.
Yeah, and apparently they're pretty good.
Yeah, I want to check those out. Ironically, King also had a Superman book there too that I hadn't been reading.
Yes, I'm very interested to see what that's like, especially since that was the one that had that issue where like Superman thought about all these ways Lois would die and everything.
Over and over.
Yeah, some really weird shit happened.
That's even weirder when you stop and consider that most of the women in Tom King's stories basically just represent his own wife, which means he's thought about this for his own wife.
Yeah, it's very weird. His treatment of women in his books is quite strange.
It's like they're definitely strong. They're not victims. They're definitely masters of their own destiny, but it's yeah. They all fit a very particular mold for him and no one really
Yeah.
breaks it. That's why I think it's weird when he's writing Batgirl more and more.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that's the King news. Ultimately, this is kind of a win-win. If you didn't like his run, well, guess you what? He's finishing up earlier. And if you did like his run, you're going to get something resembling an ending anyway. It's just going to be in another book. And if you don't like it, then hey, guess what? It's an extracurricular Batman book, so you don't even have to talk about it if you don't want to. And I think after 73 issues, you know if you like his Batman or not. So that's that.
Yeah.
But we're not even done with DC news. We talked about the comics and the strange contractual hurdles and pitfalls going on there. Let's talk about the movies. You actually brought this to my attention, Matt, on Twitter. I wouldn't have seen this if you didn't bring it up. But Comic Book Resources is reporting there that the contracts for Ezra Miller and Ray Fisher for the respective Flash and Cyborg movies are coming up at the end of the month, and we are quickly approaching the end of the month.
Yeah, no word has been said about whether they're being re-upped. There's that thing, I think this was when that deal with Ezra Miller where he was getting like him and Grant Morrison writing the Flash movie or something was set
That
to be
still
up.
hurts my brain.
I know, so something tells me that nothing is gonna happen with this.
And the fact that we've already recast our Batman and we're probably going to have to recast our Superman, I guess we're going to recast these two eventually.
Yeah, not to mention Cyborg on TV is getting more praise than the Cyborg on movies. So,
Ooh, I bet they
and
didn't see that
he's a
coming.
better character as well.
Oh, he's night and day. He's Cyborg on Doom Patrol is the best version of Cyborg we've gotten in about a decade. Like no word of a lie, no joke. Again, I don't envy anyone who has to write Cyborg again, because you're not going to be able to top this weird little side universe. Like shouldn't even be Cyborg, yet works better than just about anything else.
Yeah. So, yeah, I could see them not being there anymore and getting recast. Especially, I think Ezra Miller probably will get recast, since they're probably itching to do a Flash movie to somehow correct the universe they're in at the moment, where somehow they can reboot it with a younger Batman but keep Momoa and Godot and have maybe a younger Superman to match with the Batman or something. Yeah.
That would be nice. I mean, again, like I guess I feel bad for those guys because they won't get solo movies, but at the same time, is anyone really heartbroken over this? The whole universe is basically getting rebooted and retooled anyway.
Yeah.
So like, why even fight it at this point?
Yeah, and I was never too hot on Ezra Miller as Flash. Me either. I didn't think he was suited for that role at all.
I thought Ray Fisher had an interesting screen presence, but let's face it, they kept kicking that Cyborg movie down the line for a reason.
They kept kicking it down, and they're like, okay, well, we'll team him with Flash, or we'll make him appear in these other films first, and they're like, whatever.
And let's face it too, had they not already been working on Aquaman while they were working on Justice League and everything else there, you probably weren't going to get that movie either. The fact
Hmm.
that it was already further along, they're like, well, we can't cancel it now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know whether they would, because that film was done by James Wan and all those people who
Yeah.
have a really good relationship with Warner Brothers. So I think in one way or another that film was coming out.
Even if just to keep them sweet, because it's like, hey, you got another one of them cheap but wildly successful horror movies in the bank, James. We really like those. We like that you only spend about $100,000, but you make like 100 million back, like clockwork every time. What do you got from the Nightmare Factory this time, James? A spooky. We love it. Okay, green light, do whatever. But you didn't even let me finish.
Okay,
No, it's fine.
we're
That was
gonna
good.
give
That was
this
perfect.
10 films, and then that one item that's in that one scene will get a spin-off film.
Hmm. Okay, like when you hear a bump in the night, love it, green light it. Tom Cruise is interested in it. Really?
Yeah, what the fuck?
But I didn't even get to. Okay, can I work the Billy puppet from Saw in the background? You bet you can. That's why we love you, James. Nah, James Wan is apparently super cool, and dude's living his friggin' dream. He's the modern day Sam Raimi over here.
Yeah, yeah.
I can do horror, I can do big budget action, I can do a little comedy, I can do it all, man. But yeah, so there's your movie news on that one. Don't be surprised if too when those contracts lapse that they don't make a big deal about it. In fact, I don't think they wanted this to be a big deal. I think they just wanted them to quietly lapse in the background while no one was paying
Yeah.
attention.
Do you think maybe it'll be something like Batman, how like basically one the day Affleck left the role was when they started casting the role, like looking for new people,
Mm,
and the rumors started coming out. Do you think maybe that might happen here?
potentially.
Yeah, who would you want to see of these characters? I see. I don't think though. I think they're probably going to get rid of Cyborg because he's really popular on
Mm,
TV now.
which sends a terrible message where it's like, hey, the one black guy we have on the team, we don't need him.
Yeah, yeah,
That sends or hey, consolation prize. Okay, so we weren't really sure what we were doing with Green Lantern either. And Hal Jordan already shit the bed once. It's Jon Stewart, everybody, the one you liked anyway from the cartoon.
I'd
Yay!
prefer that, especially because like I don't think Cyborg really fits with the Justice League. I know they keep pushing him in the comics and everything, but it just
Boy, do they.
doesn't make any sense to me. He's the Teen Titans guy.
And occasionally a Doom Patrol member when he's at his best. Go figure. Again, same with Flash. I do not envy the people who have to make a Flash movie because Grant Gustin owns that role for a generation now, and you got to compete with 5 seasons of stories that people have really enjoyed. I say scrap the whole Barry thing. Just do Wally. Say, oh yeah,
Yeah.
Barry existed. He had a short career, but now it's me, Wally West. Oh, but you won't do that either because you've sabotaged his character in the comics and in the pop culture so much.
No one's using him. Do a period piece with Jay Garrick.
Hey, that's fine. I like that. Actually, here's the messed up thing. If Amanda Waller is any indication that they can really just, burn the character to the ground, piss on the ashes, but then the second there's talk about them being in a movie, the second Wally becomes the movie Flash, they're like, he's the best. He was always the best.
Yeah,
What are you talking
what
about?
are you talking about? Shut up. We always liked him. That's why we did these stories for him.
We loved him dearly. Also, the Flash book is just going to star Wally now. Barry got lost in the Speed Force, and now it's all Wally all the time. They do that too, and they do
Yeah.
it with a straight face. And Didio would look right to you. I always loved Wally West. I loved Nightwing and Stephanie Brown and all of these characters.
Yeah, once all these characters start having movies or getting popular.
Look at my face. Look how much I love it.
Look at my
Thanks,
office.
Dan.
It's covered in Nightwing stuff. It's just like hastily put up posters and unboxed toys and stuff. And
Now that's the best timeline right there, where Dan Didio is forced to love Nightwing and all the sidekicks.
uh,
I love them. They don't make me feel old at all. What are you talking about?
yeah, that's like that thing with Action Comics this week. Huntress in that was meant to be Nightwing, but Bendis
I'm
was
glad
forced to
mentioned that.
change it because of this whole fucking Rick thing.
Which, man, you want to talk about pecking order there? I guess Tom King outranks Brian Michael Bendis because they gave his story precedent.
Yeah, he did an interview recently, Tom King, about that, where he's like, "Yeah, I just did it and just left it for someone else to figure out." I'm like, that seems about right.
Yeah, that sounds like everything you've been doing. All right, fair enough. At least you're honest. At least you're honest about it. We'll talk about that more when we talk about what we read this week. But that Action Comics is just so weird for Bendis being selective with his continuity.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Again, this might prove that maybe he's forced to choose. Like he has to do it a certain way because they're telling him to, or something, or they can't do it because it will break something.
Yeah, very very strange. One last piece of news here we have, and this is just a funny one. This is just a little goof. Marvel, for their big 1000th issue, their big 80th anniversary, they put out like a nice little collage, is what they put out, with a bunch of different great moments throughout their history. And one they showed there was a same-sex kiss. And everyone's like, oh, is that, supposed to be Wiccan and Hulkling, one of the first premier gay couples of Marvel? No, it's Earth to Alan Scott and his boyfriend. Uh-oh, we got DC characters in the Marvel collage. Uh-oh, what underpaid intern did that?
Seriously though, like, how does that even happen? Like, they just have to be like calling like Google images, like the most like basic like search functions, like comics gay kiss or something, and it's like,
What's the
that
first
one,
one?
that one looks Marvel. I'll put that in.
Amazing. I love that they screwed it up. I love that no one caught it till later. This is just num 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 good Schadenfreude.
Yeah, and I love that for a moment there, everyone remembered what Earth 2 was.
For a second, wasn't that nice? It's like, hey, this book is really good, and they kind of left it unfinished and everything, and maybe you could go back to or not. Yeah, for you, the biggest Earth 2 fan I know, that must have been like Christmas for you. What do you mean people are talking about Earth 2 again? Is it getting a new book? No.
It might as well. Marvel, do an Earth 2 book.
Yeah, really. Apparently no one checks these things, and DC won't do it, so why don't you just do it? No one will stop you. Clearly, no one. Everyone's asleep at the wheel. I know we make that joke that what is it? Editorial at DC is a joke right now. But man, if you ever needed a better image to point to that no one is paying attention anymore.
Yeah, I just can't believe it took fans to like point that out. I'm surprised like a fan, like I wouldn't have like picked that out of anything.
No, that
like,
was
hey,
some good eye.
That looks familiar. I know that kiss from somewhere.
You can't keep secrets on the internet. Apparently, nothing goes unseen. The internet remembers. Forget the North remembers. The internet remembers. But yeah, so that was that news for the week, everyone. Just thought that was an interesting little laugh. Hey, maybe what this actually means is this is actually a secret Easter egg, because they're going to be doing another Marvel DC crossover like they did in the late 90s. Maybe this is just
where
to let
Earth
us
2 went.
Yeah, they went to the DC universe.
That would have been great.
That's funny. They jumped to Marvel. Hey, if you talk to Grant Morrison, he says on the other side of the source wall is the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Maybe Grant was right all along. Did you think about that?
The source wall's been destroyed. Ooh, what happened in that time it was destroyed?
See, again, if I worked for DC, like PR, that's what I'd be doing. I'd be like, no, see, we meant to do that, everyone, because the source wall fell down. You see, it's a fun little reference. We meant to do it.
I'm gonna like see when does that 1000 issue come out?
Not for a while still.
Oh god damn! Because if it was recently, I'd be like going online. I'm gonna buy 10 copies of this. I'm gonna sell each one on eBay for $500.
Yeah, really, wouldn't that be nice? Hey, it ain't Batman's dong, unfortunately. Ain't making
Hey,
Batman's dong money.
Speaking of that, I did that with my Batman Damn comic and made a mint.
Ooh, nice. How many Star Wars figures did you buy?
Oh, I'm not telling.
The fact that he doesn't tell me means a lot. Yeah, I guess with that we can hop on over into what we read this week. And as I mentioned before, it was a blissfully short week. I was actually able to get through most of my books and actually catch up on other shit.
It was. I caught up on all of Daredevil.
Nice. It's been good, hasn't it?
Oh my god, that last issue was probably one of the best issues I've read all year.
It's really solid. Apparently, Chip Zdarsky said that, Spider-Man coming to Daredevil and having him a conversation about killing people, that was like his elevator pitch. That's what got him the book.
I was gonna say, because that feels like whenever I see like Peter get serious in comics, I know shit's about to go down, and like it's like when
It
Peter's
is.
serious, you listen to serious Peter because he knows what he's talking about.
Indeed. Someone said in my comment section something that I never even considered, but they were totally right. They're like, this is the most serious Peter has been written in the main universe in what feels like forever. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. He's usually never this serious or this mature.
Yeah, which is why you know shit's going down.
It is. And also, too, I like that they're weaving this story of like, oh, Matt Murdock has a painkiller addiction, but he doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, yeah.
He's hooked on them opioids. He's part of that opioid crisis. And no hero says that either, where it's like, hey, Matt, maybe you should lay off the pills. I can stop whenever I want.
Well, does anyone actually see him take him? I don't think they do.
No, that's true. He's taking them in private and mixing them with booze.
Yeah, and I think the Punisher sees him, but like Punisher's like don't give a shit.
Punisher's like, hey, give me some of them. Don't hog the bottle.
I have a bad back. I have a bad back.
I am only kept together by rage and prescription narcotics.
Do you think these narcotics I confiscate from the bad guys goes anywhere? It goes up my nose.
Yeah, I need it for my war on crime. I'm just rolling PCP 24/7. Oh God, the Punisher on PCP. How terrifying would that be?
Yeah, like weapons grade crystal meth.
Yeah, geez, Frank Castle, he came here and he just chewed the door off that armored personnel carrier.
Yeah, literally chewed it off. Broke all his teeth and he just kept chewing.
Then he chewed all the Hydra guys inside.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
terrible.
Then he just got naked and just started beating everyone up.
No one knew what to do. He also has a skull-shaped scar in his chest now from that last arc. That's official now. But yeah, it's funny we ended up talking about Daredevil because I only put up my review for Daredevil this week.
Yeah. Oh God, that last issue was so good, so good.
And promising a great new arc again in the
Yeah.
solicitation. They sought to imply like, ooh, who is the new Daredevil running around New York? Only for Zdarsky to chime up and be like, it's not that kind of story. Who lives, who dies, who dons the costume. It's just a different type of Daredevil story. And I'm like, all right, I can appreciate that.
Cool.
Because the obvious answer is like, oh, is it Cole North? And he's like, no, it's neither Matt Murdock nor Cole North.
I would have liked that to have been Cole North. I've liked that character, how he's like a no nonsense cop who doesn't give a shit about who wears a mask or not. They're all breaking the law. Doesn't care for Kingpin's bribes.
He's a total inverse of Matt Murdock, where Matt Murdock is like, well, no, I have to bend the rule of law to uphold the rule of law, and I have to break it to save it. Where Cole North is like, no, the law is the law is the law, and they're both boxers.
Yeah, the law's the law, but I'll still fist fight you in a car park.
I will still fight you in the street because why not? But I guess the other big story from Daredevil to Batman is we had Detective Comics number 1004 this week. This was the big origin issue for the Arkham Knight.
Yeah, and it was pretty awful. Like not like the comic was bad, but like the origin of her was like pretty terrible.
Yeah, you surprised me for a second. I'm like, really? He didn't like it? Why? No, yes. Yeah, her origin is hellish and awful, but also very fascinating too. To where it's like, how can we create a character who has a complete and utter, cracked worldview of right and wrong? I know she grew up in secret in the catacombs of Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, and was read stories by the Joker and told by all these villains that Batman is bad and he hurts them, while they're like all good people who just want to be better.
And also a Batarang killed your mother.
Yeah, but it wasn't that page got me so good. Like I was like, oh shit, Batman inadvertently killed her mother, and I'm like, oh no, it was like some crazed lunatic picked up one of Batman's used Batarangs and threw it at her.
It was, but the idea is like, well, it might as well have been him because he brought it here into the hospital. But yeah, it's really well handled, really fun, really interesting stuff. And I like, too, they do the thing that so few stories do like this. They explain, well, if she's such a big deal, why have we not heard of her until right now? And the answer is, because Jeremiah was keeping her secret. I'm like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough.
Someone also mentioned where it's like, wait, if she's in her 20s now, how old does that make Batman? The answer is don't think about it because the timeline in DC is a joke right now.
Yeah, Batman's anywhere between 25 and 35 on a sliding scale.
Hmm. Also, but wait, didn't they just mention year one in the last arc as having happened and been can't? Yes, but also don't think
they
about
they
it.
meant they show it here as well because we see on the screens Batman in his year one costume fighting some villains.
That's right. So yeah, once again, year one happened, but don't think about it. But I thought Zero Year was the true origin, and then War of Jokes and Riddles after that, and the Superman fusing together, and it doesn't stop trying to make sense of it. It makes no sense, and the more you try and make sense of it, the less sense it actually makes. Just go with the flow. We got a cool new lady villain now. I was surprised too, because she's built like a little supervillain army to help her out there. Anton Arcane, the Swamp Thing villain, is helping her out.
That really surprised me. I'm like, wait, holy fuck, why is he helping her? He's like quite a big villain.
He hasn't been in anything in 8 years. I'm sure he's like, I'm just happy to be on the comic page. Watch my new show coming at the end of the month. I'm only here to promote my new series. I don't know why I think Anton Arcane speaks like the Emperor. Stop asking me. Pantaloons, swampy pantaloons. But yeah, this story was fun. It was all about Astrid. I don't really know what else to say about it. Just that it's a fun idea for a villain.
Yeah, it's good to have a Batman book that's really really great, really fun to read.
They also seek to imply too that if Batman can cure her like crack mirror view of the world, might be possible that this character might stick around.
I'd like that. I'd like that.
I could easily see Tomasi being like, hey, you like this character enough for a spin-off, right? Maybe a mini.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a mini with these characters. Hey,
Yeah,
bring the Super Sons with me and.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, maybe Arkham Knight should meet the Super Sons for a bit. Did you think about that? I mean, she likes kids. She's trying to convert Damien.
I mean, that would require another 12 issue mini. So, chop chop.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that, and I'll also bring back the evil Titans of Tomorrow Robin, who became a new character and disappeared into a time vortex, and then we never saw him again.
Yeah, the character who many were convinced that was going to be Arkham Knight.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like, no, he already had a name. I forget what his name was. Savior, right.
He was going to go save the timelines, apparently. He's not doing a very good job of it.
No,
where is he in Heroes in Crisis?
Oh, if you like buy Tomasi some drinks at a Comic-Con, he'll tell you all about it, his plans for Savior and where it was supposed to go, and then they took it all away from him. He's like, well, you see, if that had gone on for a couple arcs longer, what would have happened was, and I was building up to this, and then it's like, no, Bendis has your books now. Bendis has your books now. Sorry. What else did we want to talk about?
Speaking of Bendis books, we had Action Comics issue 1011.
Yeah, this felt more like a zero issue for Event Leviathan than anything else, didn't it?
Well, it was the final issue of the Leviathan Rising, which is like the primer for the event. But yeah, this was like the issue that, as I said in my review, it set up all of the questions that will probably be answered in the Leviathan book. We're like, who is Leviathan? What do they want? What will happen tomorrow?
Yeah.
And it set up all of them, and it set them up all pretty well.
It did, all things considered. There's, again, some gaping continuity holes, as we have come to expect with Bendis. The fact that Kate Spencer is just Manhunter now, despite the fact that in all the time she's been reintroduced, post New 52, Rebirth, etc., they never once made any mention of her having powers or ever being the Manhunter.
Yeah. Well, I saw, it's probably wrong, but I saw multiple news outlets say that this is the Rebirth introduction of Kate Spencer.
Technically, no. She was Green Arrow's lawyer in the Green Arrow book. Also, she lived in Seattle, not Metropolis.
Bendis didn't read them,
Of course, he just knows Manhunter exists. Like, oh, she's a cool, badass lady detective. Oh, she's basically like Jessica Jones. I want to write about her.
Yeah, and it made her kind of look like Jessica Jones a little bit.
her attitude is totally Jessica Jones.
Yeah, this character's Jessica Jones, but DC.
There you go. Also, man, you want to talk about more inhuman Bendis dialogue? This issue literally opens with what is it? Maggie Sawyer kicking down Kate Spencer's door. It's like, I am Maggie Sawyer, head of the Major Crimes Unit. I am working with the FBI to be like, nobody talks like this.
Yeah, he just busts in the door, say you're from the MCU. We know who it is.
Just it's like the most amazing example of like, wow, she really just gave her entire life story there.
My favorite one was, I think it was Huntress said it, where it felt like he wrote it down wrong and just didn't pick up on it when reading the script. It was like, this doesn't make Talia sense. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck are you reading, Bendis? Like, you just say, this doesn't make sense for Talia al Ghul to do. It's like, what the hell are you talking about, Bendis?
It's cute though, Matt. It's cute when characters make up new words.
I don't understand. Like, I know what it is. He's trying for these characters to talk quote unquote casual and be casual about it, but it's coming off like it's written by an alien. Like, does he talk like this to dude, does he talk like this to like people in like the DC office and they're all like, what the fuck is he on about?
That's a very good question. Does he bring some of his Bendisisms into real life conversation? Wow, I never thought about that.
Like, yeah, does he think this is how people talk? So he's getting a coffee at the DC offices and he's talking to people like this and they're all looking at him like, what the hell are you on about, Bendis?
It's so funny too to see Huntress show up and stuff when she doesn't have a book currently. She's getting this weird kind of reverse push where it's like she got to be in that last Batman story because Tom King doesn't remember that she's not a member of the Bat family in the post DC Rebirth New 52 era. She was more a friend of Batgirl and more of an associate, not a member of the family like she was. And here she gets to show up and help Superman only because Bendis wanted to use Nightwing but wasn't allowed to use Nightwing.
Yeah. And I like that came out after. And he did apologize for that as well, because he's like, I was meant to tell you guys beforehand, but things got lost in the shuffle and everything.
And by lost in the shuffle, he means I wrote this 6 months in advance and forgot about it.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do when you write several books like me. You write everything months in advance, which is another reason why things don't line up and don't make sense.
Yeah, because things that happen when the book comes out, might not match up.
Yeah, will be altered and changed. But yeah, all in all, I still like Leviathan as a concept. I like this idea of this like shadow group that has destroyed all these spy agencies. And it's like, well, if they're that powerful to do that, what are they going to do tomorrow? And the fact that they are recruiting people within the superhero community itself, and there might be Leviathan sleeper agents already that you just don't know.
Yeah, and they also posited we got a little bit more about the mystery of that creature thing that like comes and takes these people, and as Superman says, he uses his powers really well. Again, Bendis really using Superman's powers really interestingly, where he views the eruption in slow motion and comes to the conclusion that people might not be dying in these explosions but being taken somewhere.
Which makes sense, because it's like, what, are we really going to let him destroy all these organizations and then have to rebuild them elsewhere? No, they're going to be fine at the end of the story.
Yeah. That was really cool. I did like that a lot of the issue was Lois trying to nail down this story and like, okay, we need a second source. Okay, the second source Tiger is dead, quote unquote. Where do we go from here? Well, we'll go to Huntress. She was a spiral agent. We'll talk with her and everything, and then we'll go back to Waller. She needs to look at this, but Waller's gone because they think that she thinks that they think that she is Leviathan and everything. It's really interesting.
Which it would make sense for Amanda Waller to be Leviathan, because that's so up her alley. Where it's like, look, you're the head of Task Force X. You're one of the founding members of Argus. You're you kind of took over Checkmate from the guy who was running it. My favorite moment from the Secret Six, we found out she's running that group and the Suicide Squad and getting them to fight each other, and no one ever knew.
What if this is gonna turn out to be something Waller was running and it got out of hand from her, and she's like, well, I'm not taking responsibility for this. Fuck you guys. I have nothing to do with this. It was all these people.
That's the most Waller move ever. I like that a lot, actually. She's like, hey, I'm not running Leviathan at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not there at the moment.
At the moment. I'm not saying it's not me. Also, too, if they're handing out like recruitment things where it's like, "Hey, Waller, how would you like to join Leviathan?" She's like, "Yep."
Oh yeah, she'll definitely join.
And she's like, "Look, I can change the organization from the inside, everybody. I can't fight it from the outside. Look, I gotta buckle down at Leviathan, maybe get some promotions by the weird masky guy, and I'll be running this thing by next week."
Yeah, and also for all intents and purposes, Leviathan doesn't seem like that terrible. Like they don't seem evil.
No, they haven't hurt anyone who didn't have it coming.
Yeah, exactly. They're not hurting civilians. They
Nope.
they seemingly want to change the world for the better. Like, of course,
Yeah.
this is like villain speak, this buying into
Yeah.
their own shit and everything. But yeah,
Absolutely. I'm going to make the world better. They even recruit Guardian. Yeah, remember Bendis brought Guardian back and then forgot about him for multiple issues?
they laid him up in the hospital because he choked on some red mist goo.
Yeah. Hey, Jim Harper, would you like to join our group? You're not doing anything. That kind of seems to be Leviathan's modus operandi, even in what is it, the Free Comic Book Day issue. Hey, Green Arrow, would you like to join our group? You don't have a book right now. You're not doing anything.
Yeah, you're not doing that Justice League stuff anymore. Do you want to come help us?
Don't remind me. Don't remind me what I'm not doing, and that the big plans for my book got fucking scuttled. Yeah, shit. Hey, bring on a new reboot just so I can get a goddamn new Green Arrow book, please. Burn it all down so Joel can have what he wants. But yeah, that was Action Comics. It's fine. Again, it suffers from all the problems that the Bendis books have been suffering from, but this is definitely the better of his Superman titles still.
Yeah, it's more competently in his wheelhouse.
And some people just hate it on principle, though, because
Yeah,
it's more of a street level talky Superman book, and it's like, well, do you want the alternative? Do you want what he's doing in the Superman book? Because he's giving you big climactic cosmic stakes there, and it fucking blows. So
you can't win. You get those people that hate it because it's not big Superman punching bad guys, and then you hate it just because it's Bendis.
again,
Won't even give it an inch because Bendis's name is on the cover.
yeah, can't have your super cake and eat it too, unfortunately.
No.
What else was this week? I had Avengers.
Yeah, Avengers was good.
Yeah, Avengers was really interesting. It's again, we're still in the War of Realms, but we're not focusing on the main team because the main team has the main book all shored up. Here we're focusing on the agents of Wakanda, mainly Gorilla Man.
Yeah, Gorilla Man, who's the head of security, but also like a caseworker for Black Panther, and interestingly enough, we find out that Ursa Major is one of his undercover agents.
I loved that twist. Ursa Major, the most aggro dick of the Winter Guard since this arc began, is actually a double agent working for the Avengers, and it makes perfect sense too, because his own government locked him up
Yeah,
and
yeah.
only brought him out when they needed him. Of course, he's mad at his own government and wants to work to screw them over. How does he know they're not just going to lock him back up again?
Exactly. That's really cool. So we not only get a War of the Realms time, but Jason Aaron then like ties up stuff from like his vampire arcs, and then like building on that vampire arc and what's going to happen after War of the Realms.
Yeah. It's a nice touch too, where it's like, oh no, Avengers Mountain, the Celestial headquarters is under attack. Black Panther and Shuri deal with it like in one page in War of the Realms 4. Here they're like, no, more stuff went into it. It's just you didn't get to see all the shit Gorilla Man had to go through to make it so they could deal with it in one page.
Yeah. I enjoyed seeing that behind the scenes. So I kind of thought we would get to see something like that, because that is like, oh wow, that was kind of over pretty quickly. You guys have like a super weapon, and that really wasn't explained.
Also, too, where's my Gorilla Man Kazar buddy movie? That's what I want. Them just solving crimes, flying around in their flying car. I'm like, this is the best team up ever.
Yeah, this alcoholic gorilla and a caveman.
Just hanging out, getting into adventures, getting into scrapes, and make it like the what is it? What's that movie that we both loved? 70s throwback movie. Oh god,
The Nice Guys.
The Nice Guy. Yeah, just the Nice Guys, but in comic books. That's what I want. But that's fun. They also start planting seeds too for future storylines. I don't know if you read the solicitations, but apparently, like a couple arcs from now, that Celestial the Avengers are living in is going to come to life again, and they're going to have to fight it.
Yeah, yeah, I did see that. That sounds really cool. And I guess this like sort of feeds into like in here we hear Gorilla Man got talked to by the Celestial, and the
Yeah,
Celestial revealed where the Roxxon facility is, like or, like could find out where it is.
which is something they still haven't done in the main book yet. So I like that this is important, and Aaron was sure to put that little nugget in here.
Yeah, but it also throws into question: was that the Celestial speaking, or was that Dracula, or like some of Dracula's
Mm.
forces speaking to him? Because as we learn at the end of the book, Gorilla Man is himself an undercover agent for Dracula.
Oh, the guy looking after the double agents is himself a double agent. Goddamn spy thriller. But yeah, I like his reasoning. It's like I don't like being the gorilla man. I'd like to not be a gorilla man, please, even if that means being a vampire.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Gorilla Man's just a fun premise in general, and I'm like to see he got to play around here and have a little one shot.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I'd read a Gorilla Man book.
Yeah.
Heck, I'd write a Gorilla Man book. Can I write a book about Gorilla Man? Look, Matt and I already have our pitch. It's a buddy piece with him and Kazar. They open up a detective agency.
It's him and Kaiser, and then like every other issue they team up with someone else. So like the first team up you have with like Hercules.
That there you go. Got to get another fun character we love in there. Hey, get Hit Monkey in there. Gorilla Man and Hit Monkey have all the simian characters.
There you go.
There, that's a book. I just wrote you a damn book, Marvel. Huge hit, outsells everything. No, it's not. It's like canceled after 5 issues. But it'll be a cult hit though. Everyone will love it though for that 5 issues. Look, how many issues did that Howard the Duck book get? More than you thought, right?
It did. It got more than you thought.
But less than you hoped, and that's what we're gonna do with this Gorilla Man pitch. Now, what else did you have? I had technically three. I had three more.
I had the Flash issue 71.
Oh yes, the continuation of the year one.
Yeah, the year one story continues. Young Barry gets stuck in the future with the older version of himself, who teaches Barry a couple of things, like mainly how to stop running without tripping and hurting yourself, how to use
Helpful.
like the tornado arm attack thing, all these things, while also telling him what happens in the future, because as we learned, his life is a loop, because this older Barry went through the exact same thing,
Oh, that
and
makes
it's a
sense.
one big loop. And in this future, obviously the turtle has taken over Central City and put a big shell around it, big domed shell. uh,
Because naturally.
and the one thing he wants most is the Flash's speed, and he can't obviously get it because the Flash is fighting his men and everything. He's defeated most of the heroes of Earth, so Flash is like kind of the only one left. And yeah, the younger Flash just learns a little bit about the future and what happens. He doesn't like this future and doesn't want this to happen, so when he gets sent back in time via the cosmic treadmill, he
Hey, they brought that back.
yeah, Flash builds it in like a blink of an eye.
Nice.
When he gets sent back in time, he's like, nope, not gonna use my speed anymore. Fuck this shit. So he like bottles up the speed, and he bottles up the speed, and it makes him look like he has Parkinson's. Like he's
Oh
constantly like
no.
shaking and vibrating and everything because he's not letting it out and everything. And he ends up
I mean,
going.
that tracks. That makes sense.
Yeah, he ends up going to see Iris, but when he's seeing Iris, that's when the turtle's first appearance happens, and he's robbing like a bank. And Barry wonders like if he could stop him here, then he could break the loop. But he doesn't want to, because he doesn't want to use his powers anymore or get involved, because he's not that person that he saw in the future. But
Right.
he sees Iris in trouble, and then becomes a hero.
I like that he tries to fight it, but it happens anyway.
Yeah, I like the idea that Flash is caught in this loop, and I'm interested to see how, like, if they continue with that or whether they try and break that loop.
That sounds very much like Reverse Flash, his whole thing, where it's like, no, I'm a walking, talking time abnormality.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially because in the solicitations it says that apparently like there's going to be a big story coming up where the Speed Force dies off. And then Flash gets
Mm.
his own like headquarters and all this sorts of cool stuff's happening.
Interesting. Bringing it back to what he was before Wally kind of invented the idea of the Speed Force and everything, where the Flash book has lived for a long time now.
Yeah, yeah,
That's kind of like with Superman, where it's like, let's go back to where, he just leaps tall buildings in a single bound and is faster than a speeding bullet.
yeah.
Let's try and strip away some of this chicanery and see where that goes.
Mm.
I had Venom, another War of Realms tie-in.
I flicked through this. I haven't read this one yet.
Pardon? It's all right. It's all pretty inconsequential stuff, just biding time until, Donny Cates can come back. Jerry Duggan does fine. Venom gets a new suit of armor.
He does, and it looks awesome. I said I wanted this suit to be the main suit from here on out.
It's really, really nice. Like, it's so good, they really shouldn't waste it. Like, this needs to be like a spin-off, or this needs to go to another character. That's how good it looks.
Yeah, Venom Viking or something.
Yeah, Vike Venom, something like that, yeah. What's the Norse word for Venom? What's the Norwegian word for it? Venom Heben. There you go.
You're the Swedish chef.
Yeah, I watched the Swedish Chef. I know what's up. But yeah, his whole deal there is that the more he uses this armor, the more it's killing him, and the more it's like turning him to the dark side. And the same witch that gave him the powers gave similar powers to Jack-o'-lantern, which Jack-o'-lantern, it doesn't matter, a Jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't even think Jack-o'-lantern had like a public identity at all. Anyway, it was just Jack-o'-lantern, so you could do whatever the fuck you want with him.
There's been several Jack-o'-lanterns, and they all suck, and they haven't all last very long.
Yeah, but he's got the power now. God damn it.
He's got the power now. First you get the power, then you get the money, then you get the pumpkin on your head. In that order. But, even with the power, he's no match for Venom and Jack-o'-lantern. It's like, fine then, screw you. I'm going to go full Daenerys Targaryen. I'm just going to burn the whole city down, including the building where your son is. Because Venom has a son now, everybody, in case you weren't paying attention.
Yes, a son who thinks he's not his son, but like big brother, quote unquote.
Yes. Also, a son who may have been born because of immaculate conception with the symbiote. They haven't touched back on that yet, but yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, they're gonna have to.
Because literally Annie's like, I wasn't pregnant until the symbiote got on me. Now I'm pregnant with Eddie's kid. Yeah, think about that. Oh man, I love because the symbiote has a character now. I cannot wait till the symbiote has to explain. It's like, look, man, I was trying to help you out. I was trying to help you lock this lady down. She was out of your league. And what locks a woman down more than pregnancy? Says the symbiote. Oh my god, you're the biggest villain ever, symbiote. That's like the superhero equivalent of I just made tiny pinpricks in all of your condoms. I didn't see what the problem was.
The condom in this way being an alien symbiote.
Oh jeez, man, I'm just gonna have to take a mulligan on this one, man. I'm gonna have to just plead ignorance on this one. Whew, on my planet we do this all the time.
Do the old George Costanza.
Yeah, in my weirdo goo planet, this is completely acceptable behavior. Oh, you humans and your not like of immaculate symbiote conception. So prudish here on Earth. But yeah, that was Venom. It was fine.
Cool. Well, I had the penultimate issue of Naomi.
Oh, yeah. This is coming to an end, isn't it?
Yeah, and we've the last like 3 issues, we've gotten so much information, so buckle up.
Okay, I'm buckled. I'm listening.
So we learned that the mechanic D, who she thought was her father, is not her father, but a Thanagarian assassin who escaped to Earth after failing a mission and just lived out on Earth. He was hunted down by a Ranian who turned out to be Naomi's adopted father.
Oh shit.
Yeah, but he didn't want to hunt anymore because he met Naomi's adoptive mother, and they ended up getting together and marrying, but they couldn't have a child. And then one day something called both him and the mechanic to a football field where some woman came through a portal with a baby and was being chased by like these guys. So they killed them, but the woman died and they were left with the baby. And
I follow so far.
And then, so Naomi gets told all of this, and she gets given this stone that she arrived with. And when she touches it, it like molds into her and gives her her powers, which I'm not really sure what they are, but they might be like light based powers, like a Green Lantern ring sort of thing. But they also give her like a Jor-El type message from her mother, and
Naturally.
we learn that she is actually from an alternate Earth.
Oh.
And this alternate Earth had a crisis, which also, while burning away the ozone layer, also burnt away a bunch of realities, and the radiation that came through gave people gifts. It unlocked their latent gifts, so basically mutants.
Is this going to be tied into that stupid Seven Crises thing that Bendis wrote in Young Justice?
maybe. But yeah, they ended up getting powers, and there was 29 people that rose to become like the Earth's champions, but some wanted to rule the Earth, including this one serial killer who got powers, who like just decimated the Earth and forced all the other ones to sort of become rulers of their own little sects of this Earth. And these people weren't allowed to procreate, but then by what is implied, either immaculate conception or their parents did it before
That's
they got the
word
powers.
of the day, everyone.
Naomi was born to her mother and another one of these champions, so she was like the first pure blood of the crisis. And this villain found out about her and wanted to kill her to prove his superiority, so they had to send her away to another Earth.
A la Superman.
Yeah, it's basically a reverse Superman, which is why she's so fascinated with Superman.
Right, that makes it. Well, you weren't kidding, Matt. That was a lot of information to digest.
That happened over like 3 issues, where I'm like, oh wow, I'm glad this wasn't just one issue.
Yeah,
there's a lot of fucking shit happening in this book. It's got one more issue left in the quote-unquote season. Not sure why they're calling it a season and not just a series.
It's a fun idea. Also, don't worry, if she's popular, I'm sure he will work her into his Young Justice run. I'm sure he's just waiting for that.
For all intents and purposes, I think she is popular. This book is actually really good, and I think it benefits from having David F. Walker on there. Because the dialogue is good. The dialogue isn't casual Bendis. It actually makes sense. The story is coherent. It more or less conforms with DC continuity. So yeah.
David F. Walker, wildly underrated creator. I really hope he gets more work off the back on this, or at the very least, it's like, hey, Dave, how would you like to, co-write the Superman now and to help him out on this?
I'd really like if, like, Bendis was only on this season 1 of this book, and then, like, just gave it to David and just let him do his thing on, like, season 2 of Naomi.
See, I think that they want Bendis' name on it to help sell it is the thing. As much as I love David F. Walker, all of his great series have been canceled prematurely.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is a shame. I still pour a 40 out there for his Power Man and Iron Fist and his Occupy Avengers and his solo Luke Cage book. Hey, we were talking about Cyborg. I think he wrote either the first or the second New 52 Cyborg run, actually.
Yeah, and I do remember that first, that run being particularly good, and then it just like kind of nosediving after that.
Yeah, poor dude. What else did I have? I had Justice League Dark. Justice League Dark was this week.
Ooh, what was that like?
They finally found Mordru, the original Lord of Chaos, who they were hoping that if they could use his powers of chaos, they could defeat the Otherkin and the now rogue Lords of Order.
Nice.
And he's just an evil, disgusting human being who is incredibly powerful. He's like, oh yeah, I could have fought the Otherkin. I could have fought the Lords of Order forever ago. I just didn't want to. He's also been living in the Justice League Museum.
Okay.
That's why they couldn't find him. He's just been living in a magical pocket dimension in like the Hall of Justice Museum. Which is really freaking funny. And his whole thing there is like, yeah, I'll totally give you the power to become Lords of Chaos. Not because I think it's the right thing to do, not because I want you to save the day, but because I know you pure-hearted heroes, this will corrupt and destroy you by the end of this. And I'm like, wow, Mordru's such a dick. I love this character.
That's great. I know he got a really cool redesign recently as well, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
He sure did. They even drop another like interesting little tidbit there where he's like, yeah, I was like one of the original human beings to pick up the idea of magic. The Lords of Order, those were like my brothers and sisters from back in the day, and they were so scared of losing their magic power, they put themselves in helmets and capes and all these other, relics of order. Not me though.
Yeah, no, fuck that shit.
Now, Mordred don't play that shit. He even explains, like, well, what's the difference between their magic and chaos magic? He's like, well, regular magic has all these rules. You got to draw runes, you got to talk backwards, you got to have spell books and everything. Chaos magic is just big dick magic where you just take what you want when you want. And by exuding...
It's the Chad magic.
It's the Chad, and by exuding this big dick energy to the world, I can bend it to my will. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for the big dick energy magic? And they're like, I don't know. But yeah, that's the book, and it ends with Wonder Woman and Zatanna getting Lords of Chaos redesigns.
Awesome.
Yeah, and which we already know from solicitations, everyone else on the team is going to become a Lord of Chaos too, so expect that.
Sweet.
Yeah, I had one more.
I had one more too. I had Tony Stark Iron Man issue 11.
I'm gonna read that tomorrow. I'm 2 issues behind, actually.
Yeah, this was the finale of basically the story Slot's been telling since issue 1 with the controller and everything.
It's been going on for a while.
So yeah, Tony ends up beating Motherboard in Escape and getting out, but because he was locked in his Iron Man costume, it took him into space, and he lost out all his oxygen and everything, so he's like floating around in space. No one knows where he is except for Arno Stark, who has been piggybacking on Escape to get access into Tony's files. And Sunset's really happy because they're like, oh great, we don't have to deal with Tony Stark now, he'll just like kill himself in space. But Arno's like, hey, he's my brother, I'm gonna bring him home. So,
Arno, who's also gone down a very evil path since last we saw him. He had a whole issue to himself.
Yeah, he's quite evil now.
He's basically the science devil is what he is.
Yeah. And he brings him home, and he brings him to the battle where the Controller, who's now giant Godzilla size sort of thing, fighting the champions and Janet and Manticore at the Banetronics facility, where Tony decides to use the illegal 3D printers that Banetronics has been setting up to mass produce those masks.
Right.
He starts using them to design some designs he had in Escape, and that design was the God Killer armor.
Cool.
And he's doing it very quickly because, as he says, like once he got back into his body, his ideas and stuff started like disappearing. The ideas he had in Escape start disappearing because his mind can't hold them.
It's a literal brain drain.
Yeah, so he ends up fighting the Controller and kind of like one hit punching him. Like I love that, like despite the Controller getting all this power, Basil was still like a D grade villain, and they're like, no, one hit punch. Takes him down and then uses the suit to blow up Banetronics lab and destroy all their facilities and destroy their production pipelines and all that. But the end of the comic is really my favorite, because everything is like kind of wrapped up, and then like Tony like leaves in the middle of the night to go and get a drink, because while he was in Escape, he was free of everything and he was drinking left, right, and center and everything.
Yes, he was, like he used to.
And and Rhodey catches him, and he tells Rhodey that while he was in Escape, he was drinking and nothing bad was happening. Like he knew it wasn't real, but it felt real, and he knows he's an alcoholic and everything, and he knows nothing's going to change that, and he might as well just give in to it because nothing's going to solve it. So, and Rhodey basically consoles him as, I'll take you to AA, my friend.
Oh boy, they're going to have to be sending both Tony Stark and Daredevil to rehab soon.
Maybe they can set up a sanctuary like facility. Nothing bad's ever happened with that.
No, that idea is
we'll
ever...
have Spider-Man go into like a fit of rage after learning that like he's not the only one with bad things happening, and he'll kill a bunch of no-name villains and stuff.
We should get a bunch of Ultron robots too to look after the place, because
and then blame them for it, but it wasn't them.
Because Ultron robots have like this great track record of never going insane and never killing anybody. And only being helpful, so that'll be fine.
Yeah.
Also, we'll dress the Ultron robots in creepy masks for some reason too.
Yeah, make him look like Aunt May and Uncle Ben and
Uh,
Tony and Howard and Maria Stark.
yeah, nothing wrong with that. I see no problems in this future. Yeah, I definitely want to check that out. I'm 2 issues behind. I'm going to read those tomorrow. And the only reason I didn't read those today was because I was catching up on Saladin Ahmed's Miles Morales Spider-Man. I read the 2 issues of those that I was behind.
How's that going?
It's interesting. It's fine. I hate to use the word derivative because every comic is someone's first, but this feels like a very classic Spider-Man adventure, is what this feels like. This feels like something you would have read back in the day, but with not a lot of new flourishes on it. Basically, there's a gang war in Brooklyn.
Hmm.
Tombstone and his gang from Harlem are trying to move on in to Brooklyn territory, and they're fighting it out with all the gangs there, and Miles has to step in and stop it
Yeah.
while also breaking off dates with his friends and his girlfriends and everything, which causes a real rift there.
Hmm.
So again, classic Spider-Man. He meets a new character called Starling, who
Yeah.
has her own personal bone to pick with Tombstone. Apparently, Tombstone killed her friend from Detroit, so now she's come here to New York to basically like mess up all his people. And unlike Miles, who's a bit of a soft touch, Starling doesn't give a shit. She's like, "Look, I'll cripple this guy. I'll like, what is it? Smack his face off. I don't care." But Miles likes her. He's like, "Oh, you're hot, bird lady. I want to hang out with you." It's like, fine, let's team up. And they do, and they eventually take down Tombstone, and she learns an important lesson about forgiveness. And we discover only at the end that her name is actually Tamina Toombs.
Okay.
She is the granddaughter of the Vulture.
Ooh, interesting.
The Vulture built her that suit while he was hiding out in Detroit and
Nice.
taught her to fly. And it's funny. The most interesting part is the ending, and that is that Miles's girlfriend broke up with him because it's like, "Oh, you're living this double life and you won't tell me about it. And if you can't share your secrets with me, I'm out." And then Tamina Toombs opens up to him. And it's like, "Oh, well, this is who I am. This is my story. Okay, your turn. Take off your mask. Tell me who you are." And he's like, "Yeah, no, we're not really there yet in our relationship. No." And she's like, "Well, screw you then." And he's like, "Great, I had 2 women break up with me for basically the same reason." But he did take one of Tombstone's files on like a bunch of big crime stuff that's going on in the city. He can't read it though because it's assumedly all coded and everything. But he's taking it to Uncle Aaron, hoping Uncle Aaron can give him the skinny on it.
Oh, sick.
So the next arc is going to involve Uncle Aaron. I'm like, that's cool. Uncle Aaron operates a weird place in the comics in that he had such a great death in the original Ultimate Spider-Man, such a great death in the movie, but then Bendis brought him back to life, and now we just kind of have to deal with him being alive now.
Maybe he'll solve the code and in doing so get a really cool death.
I am really I'm really expecting that actually, Matt, where it's like, look, let's do a whole arc with Uncle Aaron so I can kill him again. Because Uncle Aaron needs to stay dead for Miles to work. Like, they already kind of ran into a big problem in that, like, the Peter of this world is not dead, and they're still trying to get around that. But, like, he really needs his Uncle Ben analog to be dead, too. And the fact that he just, like, was resurrected on a whim and then became a villain again, just, ooh. Just unfortunate. But yeah, that's Miles Morales Spider-Man. It's good.
That's good.
I'll say it's everything Amazing Spider-Man isn't scratching the itch for. So if you just want classic boots on the ground, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man stuff, this is a good place to go for it.
Awesome.
Also makes me hungry for Jamaican patties because literally the first couple pages takes place in a Jamaican patty restaurant.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that was my books for this week. Is that everything from you, Matt?
That is everything from me.
Oh boy, this show just flew right by, didn't it?
It did.
It did. So thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. As always, if you're a patron, you'll get to listen to it first before anybody else over on the Cape Joel Comic Multiverse Patreon. Always appreciate that. Helps keep the lights on here. Helps me pay Matt for all the work he does with the thumbnails and the co-hosting and the pudding pops and everything else that he does. I'm joking. Matt's never given me a pudding pop. We should though. Matt. We should go on strike for this show until fans give us pudding pop money.
We'll set up a coffee page. We need pudding pop money.
I have one actually on Twitter, but
I
yes,
do
there you
as
go.
well.
All this money goes to the pudding pops. Next week we come back, we just have a big case of pudding pops. What, you thought we were joking? But yes, everyone else, that of course comes out in audio form on Thursday on the iTunes and the SoundCloud, and here Wednesday, every Wednesday at 8 a.m. New Comic Book Day. You can come watch the video version here. As always, we appreciate any likes, comments, favorites, shares. Helps drive engagement, helps us keep doing what we're doing, lets us interact with you. I always do my best to try and read the comments when I can. You can follow Matt and myself on Twitter to keep up to date with what we're doing there. If you're in the Vancouver area this coming July the 6th, I will be at the inaugural Geektopia show at the Harbor Convention Center in Vancouver, British Columbia. It's their first year, so please come out and see me. So it's not a total wash. That's what happens when you go to a first year convention. When we went to that Philadelphia show like last year, it was an awesome show. It was a kick-ass show, but it was their first year and barely anybody showed up.
Oh no.
I know. Like, it sucked for like the people putting on the show, and in fact I think the dude running the show doesn't work there anymore for just that reason. I tried calling his number and it was disconnected. I know. But man, if you were just running around the show, it was great because you had unfettered access to your favorite comic book professionals. I just pulled up a chair right next to Peter Tomasi and talked to him for a bit.
Awesome.
Then I met him again in the hotel because we were staying in the same hotel because it was connected to the convention center. I'm like, oh, hey, Peter. What's up? Nice dude. Nick Spencer, shorter man in real life. He writes like a much taller man, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, he writes with the gusto of a 6-foot-tall man.
At the very least. I'm like, man, I'm taller than Nick Spencer. I didn't think about that. I met Big Bird there. I met the original Big Bird, Carol Spinney, but I didn't know it was him until later because obviously he's like in his 80s now. He's in a wheelchair and everything, getting pushed around. I held the door open for an elderly lady and her husband. Little did I know later on the floor when someone pointed out, it's like, hey, that's Carol Spinney, the original Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch. And I'm like, fuck off. I held the door for him. That was big. I met Big Bird and his place. Seriously? Little toddler version of me is losing his goddamn mind now. I met Big Bird and didn't know? Damn. But yeah, so that's the show, everyone.
That's the show.
No topping that. You have anything to promote, Matt? Anything you want to tell the peoples about?
Not at the moment. I'm just getting ready to get all my reviews out, all my backlog of reviews. I did mention on Twitter a couple of days ago that I am considering streaming. I'm considering streaming the remasters of the Arkham Knight games.
Nice.
So
I gotta play those too.
Yeah. I just bought them all and installed them all, so I'm eager to get into them. So I was wondering if anyone wanted to see me do that, and some people did, and some people didn't, and yeah.
I would drop by for a minute. I got like the Guardians of the Galaxy Telltale thing. I've been meaning to like either record and put up on the channel or stream or something. I got it. I'm bad at streaming. I don't have a schedule. I just do it whenever I feel like it.
Yeah.
I stay up all night reading comics and editing videos and rendering shit, and I sleep all day, and like by the time I'm ready to stream something, it's like midnight, 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm like, no one's gonna be up to watch this. And then it's like, I've talked into a mic all day. Do I want to keep talking into a mic and play video games? That's why, like, when I've been playing Red Dead Online to get those new missions in, and like sometimes people like their mics are on and you could just hear them.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting in dead silence, and I'm like, no, video game is quiet time. I didn't come here to talk. I came here to shoot things. I need to buy a new hat. Nothing will stop me from buying a fancy new hat. I take this very seriously. All right, everyone. I'm getting delirious here. Thank you so much for listening, and Matt and I will be back again next week. Promise.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.